Good idea. Yeah. So I think our plan for this evening is to talk a little bit about Strong Minds. And Strong Minds is a program that, like Missy was kind of sharing, is one of the Healthy Athletes programs, and one that we have, only over the last couple years, kind of recently started having at some tournaments. So some of you may have, attended a Strong Minds event in the past. I'm not sure. Does anybody remember that? You raise your hand if you think you've been to a Strong Mind event before.
You've done something.
Yeah. I know Missy has. Not sure if any, yeah, I think Jennifer has too. Yeah.
I think
So
earlier
yes.
last.
So we're gonna kind of talk through a couple of the strategies that we teach at Strong Minds and have a little bit of a discussion around stress and the importance of utilizing some of these tools to help yourself be emotionally well. So I think, there's a great variety of people on this call, and I think there's space for every person to get something really positive to take away from this call. I think there's room, I think, for a lot of athletes to utilize this around competitions and even just in everyday life. I think if there's coaches and caregivers present, I think these are great tools that you can also learn and practice and be a model to your athletes, and help them kind of utilize some of these skills throughout a lot of different, parts of their lives. So while mostly, Kelly and I's role is to, run these events in person and kind of walk athletes through these exercises. I think there's something that, it's a sort of context and concepts that I think really a lot of people can benefit from. When we met a few days ago, kind of planning for this event, it's hard for us to not talk about kind of how impactful, the pandemic has been on people's mental wellness and, the increased isolation. I know that I've been home a lot more than I used to be. A lot of the social things that I used to go do were canceled, including being able to go to Special Olympics events. And I think that, things like that, when they happen in our worlds, along with just the day-to-day life, creates, stress in our lives. And these are some coping skills that we can work through today, that we hope are just tools for people to be able to use to work through some of these things that happen in our lives. Very, very real, normal things that happen that we can kind of help ourselves cope through. The next slide there, Brittany. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is what's called the mind-body connection. So as athletes, you all are so good and so practiced at training your body to be ready for your competition. So you go to practices, you do your, workouts, you build your skills, you learn all of the physical things that you need so that you can be your best athlete and you can perform at your highest when you get to your competitions. And what we want to kind of connect today is the idea that we can also work on training our mind to be the best our mind can be when we're at those competitions and when we're outside of those competitions. And so we don't necessarily have to think of our body and our physical health super separate from our mental wellness and our emotional health, because they're actually really connected. And so you can see on the left here, the red and the yellow and the green circles. This is kind of thinking about how the different parts of our thinking interact with how our body reacts. So you kind of go through these cycles where, in the red, we have thoughts create feelings, feelings create behavior, behaviors reinforce thoughts. So every time that you're thinking about something, you're having a reaction in your body, and that can be kind of a cycle that connects your body and your mind. And so on the right, you've got this really cool visual that kind of shows you that, the feelings of stress, you have some thoughts about that, I'm able to manage this. You can have a positive message. You might then have an improved mood. You might feel a little bit better. You might feel more relaxed. You might have a lower heart rate, your stomach ache might go away if you're a little bit nervous. And those helpful thoughts help you create better behaviors, in which all kind of reinforce having those relaxation techniques. So this is just really showing you that the way you think and the way that you feel has an impact on your body. Like I said, for an example, when I get really nervous, I can feel my heart racing, right? I can feel that. I know that that's happening. And I also know that if I really work on kind of breathing deep and controlling my breaths, I can help my heart rate go down. And so that's a super easy, great example of how our minds and our bodies are really interconnected. And as we go through these techniques today, what you're going to see is we can identify some of those things that make our bodies, not feel great, and some of the thinking that makes our brain not feel great, and then using some of these tools to help try to reduce some of that stress in our lives. Go to the next one, Brittany. Awesome. So I think the best way to start this conversation around using techniques is to first talk about what is stress. So does anybody have something that they can share that they think, like what comes to mind when you think of stress? What sort of things make you nervous? A baby. Thank you, Brittany. Brittany's baby might be a little stressful sometimes.
Busy day.
Any other ideas?
Busy day.
I have older kids, and one had a test today, and she was really stressed out about her test.
Yeah, that's a great example. I think go ahead, Jennifer. What have you got?
Busy day.
Yeah, being really, really busy. That can be really stressful.
Basketball Saturday.
Yeah, got upcoming tournaments and upcoming games. Yeah, those are all.
How about communicating with your toddler?
Yeah,
or trying to communicate with your toddler.
Absolutely. That definitely has some stress involved, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. And I think one thing that we really want to emphasize, I like to emphasize, is that stress is very normal. We all experience stress. It's something that everybody encounters in their daily life. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to be scared of. It's something we all experience. And sometimes we have things in our lives that just create a little bit of stress, and sometimes we have things in our life that create a lot of stress. But at the end of the day, it's still really normal to have that stress in your life. What have you got, Jennifer?
Got a Christmas party this Friday.
Yeah.
And next week Friday at bank.
Wow, you are busy. That's awesome. So I think what just to kind of sum that up, I think it's just important to acknowledge that you do have stress in your life, and that's okay. And that we can learn tools that are going to help us move past that stress. We're going to learn tools that are going to help us feel a little bit better. And that's kind of the point of these next couple exercises. So stress is really normal. There's lots of things that create stress. Might be before going to work. It might be before going to school. It might be before, a basketball tournament. It might be throughout the day because you're just really busy. It could be lots of different things. So these are the sort of techniques that you can do without anything with you. You can kind of carry them in your mind throughout your day, and you'll have access to these tools. If you really practice them, you'll be able to think about these tools when you're in any of those moments of stress. So the first technique that we're going to learn about is using a stress ball. So one thing that we can do is, this is another part of the mind-body connection. So we can utilize our body to put some energy into it and then release. And that process does a lot for kind of making making ourselves really focus on releasing our muscles, releasing the tension. Sometimes when we're really stressed, we're really tight. We're sitting up here where our shoulders are tight, our necks are tight. And by utilizing a stress ball, you can kind of reinforce that and then really actively let that go. So I don't know what you have next to you, but I have this popsicle dog toy that I'm going to use as my my stress ball for the day. You can grab like a stuffed animal or a pair of socks or a little toy. Or if you don't have anything, you can just use your fist. You don't have to have anything with you. You can just use your hands. So we're going to practice, and we're going to squeeze our stress ball for 3 seconds, really tight. 1, 2, 3, and then let go. We're going to do that just a couple times. 3, 2, 1, let go.
Hold it. And then let go.
2, 1, let go. So I feel like after I've done that exercise, I think my shoulders are down a little bit more. I think I'm a little bit looser in my arms. I think my neck's a little bit looser. This is a really easy tool that you can use to really acknowledge the stress and think about it and then let it go. It's a great tool for your mind. Think about the stress and then let it go, but it's also a great tool for your body. Hold the stress and then let it go. Can be a great thing to utilize when you're kind of out in the community and you're just kind of feeling a little bit tense and you want to have an active way to just kind of let some of that energy go. So we can go on to the second technique. Ooh, I love this one. I love strong messaging. So we all find different things important to us, and we all find different inspirations from different people and different things around us. And I know that when I'm having a hard time, if someone says something really nice to me or reassuring, that can really, really help. Right? If I'm nervous about something or I don't know if I'm doing something right, it's really kind of stressing me out. Somebody having a reassuring word towards me can really help me remember that it's not that big of a deal. I can relax. I can work through this situation. And one thing about strong minds that we can really think about is how to have some of those strong messages for yourself. So it doesn't just take someone else telling you that you're awesome and you're great and you're just fine. You have to believe that about yourself, right? You have to be able to say, Amy, you're doing a great job today. It's okay that you're feeling a little stressed. You're going to make it through today. You're going to do your best. You're going to put in your best effort, and it's all going to be okay. So thinking of some of these strong messaging, things that you really want to tell yourself. And I think about this, I think the greatest trick is, what is the nicest thing you would tell to your teammates? And you got to remember to tell those things to yourself too. I'm sure you are all the kind of teammates that tell each other that you're doing a great job, to remind people that they're trying really hard and they're doing a great job and they're really great at what they're doing. But sometimes we forget to say those things to ourselves. We sometimes forget that we need that kind of encouragement the way that we hand it out to all of our teammates. So I'm going to give you a few seconds here, but I want you to think about something. What kind of strong message do you think you can tell yourself to get through one of those tough situations? And if you happen to have like a pen and paper, you can write it down, but you can also just think about it and just remind yourself of what's a nice thing you can say to yourself when you're having a tough time. Mull on that one for a second. Does anyone have any ideas of a message that they would tell themselves?
Yeah, hi Amy, this is Edward. I would tell myself no matter what we're going through, that, just to calm myself down that it'll be okay and we'll, that I'll get through it and there'll be better days ahead.
That's amazing. That's perfect. Who else has a good, strong message?
What did I say? What did I say?
Amy, I like to say one day at a time. That, like, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, just take it one day at a time. Sometimes 1 hour at a time.
Yeah, it's a great way to remember the perspective, right? It's just taking it one moment in front of you. What do you got, Jennifer?
Yeah, good day tomorrow.
Yeah, you're gonna have a good day tomorrow. Absolutely. Yeah, these are all really, really awesome, strong messages. And I will admit, as much as I love strong messages, I forget to do this a lot. So I think this is one of those tools and techniques you really, really have to practice. And if you have any, family members or any caregivers or coaches around you, this is a great thing that they can help remind you that these are things you have to tell yourself and you remind yourself and you say them to yourself as often as you need to so that you have those messages in your head that you need to pull from them when you're having some of those hard times. So this is awesome. I'm excited for you to
And
utilize.
Amy, you always don't have to have it if you're having a good day, acknowledge you're having a good day, and you can still say it, you don't always have to have a bad day.
That's
No.
so true. You're absolutely right. You can utilize all these techniques
No,
are possible when you might be having a tough day, but they're also great things to practice when you're having a great day so you can keep your great day going great. They're all good techniques in just a really positive aspect. So I'm going to pass it over and Kelly's going to do a couple more techniques with you here.
Hi, everyone. Great job, Amy. Thanks for passing the baton over to me here. We're going to start with here strong breathing or just like deep breathing. And so especially, everyone or most people on the call here, when you've done physical activity, you're breathing a lot. And so sometimes just refocusing on the breath can be just so important. And wherever we go, we're breathing and our bodies are, I always like to say, I have gratitude for our minds and bodies because they're always working, right? So you are constantly breathing. And so to take a moment to focus on that is important because sometimes, as the photos show there, sometimes, we can be in a really calm place and feel like on the left side photo there, like a calm lake, we can feel kind of calm down. Maybe our breathing is just kind of normal. But then also sometimes some days, we might be having a lot going on, or sometimes maybe the holidays are coming up, or you've got a lot on your schedule. Like I think it was Jennifer who said she has a lot coming up, whatnot.
Yes.
Sometimes our breath can start to be, more fast paced, but also just kind of choppy, kind of like the water shows there. It just kind of gets out of rhythm a little bit. And so sometimes it can be important to notice when we're in both places and just kind of taking a moment to check in with ourselves. And so whenever I'm doing breathing with people, I think it's important to just even, I encourage if people feel comfortable, putting a hand on your chest to just kind of check in with, how is my breath doing? And so maybe right now, just kind of noticing, taking a moment to just kind of sometimes putting a hand or maybe two hands for some people, they like that. And then also if you have your other hand, putting that on your lower belly area to just kind of start checking in with how your breath is going in and out of your body too. Sometimes just be continuing to be self-aware of how that feels for our breath to come in and go into our lower belly area, that deep breathing part. And so when you do that check-in, you can kind of feel that sometimes too, which is great, to just start being aware of your body. And so this tool is I'm just going to walk us through a breathing technique that you can practice on good days, bad days, just kind of whenever to just intentionally kind of check in with yourself, to just notice, how is my breath? And kind of, sometimes I call it the reset button. Sometimes we all need to press reset or just kind of check in with ourselves. So the breathing technique, I think on the image there, you can kind of see it. It's 5-5-5. And so that stands for an inhale for 5 seconds, and then we're going to hold for 5 seconds, and then we're going to exhale for 5 seconds. And I always like to remind people that when we can, breathing in through your nose is really important. So inhaling through your nose if you can. Sometimes we're stuffed up, so that's not always possible. But if you can breathe in through your nose, research shows that that's really important to helping calm your system. So breathing in through your nose, and then you're going to breathe out through your mouth. Okay, and so we're just going to practice it together for a little bit, if that's all right, everyone. And I will kind of count us through it, and we'll do 3 of them. Okay. And so if you want to start by breathing in through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and holding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then breathing in through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll do one more. Breathing in through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhaling through your mouth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so we did that about 3 times. And so afterwards, I encourage checking in again. So just kind of noticing, feel after just focusing on kind of pressing the reset button, or just noticing, how was your breathing? Did that help at all?
Good,
What did you say, Jennifer?
good.
Good. That was helpful. I appreciate the feedback that you tried it. And so this tool, like all the other ones, you can take it with you anywhere. Sometimes I encourage, if you're ever traveling, that can be a great time to, maybe if you're sitting in the car, or even just walking somewhere too, just kind of when you're en route, sometimes that can be a natural place where you're already going somewhere, so you can kind of check in on your breath. Or maybe in the morning when you wake up, or just kind of finding different times of the day where you can just take a moment to check in with yourself. And so, any questions about the breathing?
No,
Good. Okay. And Missy over there had a cool, what do you call it, Missy? Sphere, right? To kind of mimic the breathing in and holding, and kind of how that can feel internally too, which is pretty neat. And so I forgot to mention that right before I started, but that's kind of how it feels inside, right, Missy? So kind of just breathe in and out. So that, I loved how you were showing that. Thank you. And so now,
Can I add one tip, since it's coming into basketball season? I think we have some basketball players.
Mhm.
When you're on the free throw line,
yes,
taking a good breath or two, like just
okay.
before you shoot, and some people have a routine, they might dribble twice, stop, take your deep breath, and then shoot. That can really help you focus on your shot.
That's great, Missy. What a great addition there. Just to have those mindful moments, or right before you start a game or something like that too. This, any moment when you're maybe feeling it all a little nervous, or just kind of have to do something.
Take a big deep breath after passing the ball.
Yeah. And with that too, like I always like to tell people as well, even just a small sigh, if you can't do the full 5-5-5, just going, sometimes just a quick sigh can even be enough to start calming your system. So quick tips to kind of help yourself too in moments when you don't have that much time too. And so now we're going to segue into strong stretching. This one, I love this one because we sometimes these days, as we're on Zoom, right, we're kind of maybe in front of computers a lot, or, you know, just even like Amy was saying, getting out of the house sometimes is, you know, we're getting there, but sometimes we're still kind of trying to get out more. And so strong stretching is neat because it can kind of just help us move our bodies when, you know, these days we might be a little bit more sedentary or just sitting more. And so it can help to just mix it up a little bit. So some of the stretches that I'm going to show are just sitting ones. But if you're able to, I'll also encourage, if there's any way to just even stand up a little bit or move around, move your body, just switch, kind of navigate out of your chair a little bit if you can, just to kind of allow your system to kind of have a change happen, because that can really help us. And so one of the first ones that you can kind of see them doing in the diagram there is just kind of starting to stretch your arms. So if you want to try with me, you know, just stretching your arms like this, especially with basketball coming up, right, Missy? So these are the common basketball stretch, right? To kind of get your arms warmed up for, you know, tossing the ball to your teammate or whatnot. And so kind of taking as much time as you feel on one side and then transitioning to the other side. You know, 10 to 15 seconds is a rough time you can kind of think about, but some people, you know, one arm and the other, you might want to do a little bit longer depending on if you need it. So kind of listening to your body there, but kind of doing the few arm stretches there. And then also, you know, if you feel comfortable, kind of doing the behind the arm stretch can be a nice one.
That's for swimming exercise.
Yeah. And then we'll switch sides to the other one there and kind of stretching out as you move to the next one too sometimes. We'll do the other side. And then kind of doing some, just kind of seeing how that feels. I saw Amy going like this, right? So just kind of stretching that a little bit that way. And then also, and I'm looking at my my notes here, another one, like I said, if you can stand up, sometimes during the middle of a presentation, or, you know, when we've been kind of sitting for a little bit, they say if you've been sitting for 30 minutes to an hour, if you can even just move around a little bit, that helps. So if you feel comfortable, it's just standing up for a moment. I'm going to stand up back here and just kind of do some type of stretch here. So I got a chair, but even just leaning forward, if you have something you can lean on, to stretch your back out a little bit. Anything that can kind of, if you can even
Do it
just,
after this done.
yeah. And so moving your legs a little bit too. If you can do some stretches to move your legs a little, like a lunge stretch kind of can be a good one. So either leg there. And then, yeah, some twists and turns can be nice too sometimes. And then
No, not yet. But we had one lightning strike that
oh, can you still see me okay, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, it said not responding for a
You
second
froze
there.
for just 2 seconds and came back.
Yeah, we're back on, okay. And so I appreciate you all participating and trying some different stretches. I think
Yeah.
sometimes people, you know, you kind of gravitate, sometimes certain parts of your body can hold different tension, and that can be a good cue that, hey, maybe I need to stretch that area out. So even some shoulder stretches too can be nice. But kind of thinking about where maybe you're feeling tension and then targeting those areas a little bit more can be nice to kind of help them calm down or release. So then you can feel a little bit more flexible, especially if you're going to be doing athletics or you're going to have a competition. So that's really important. And so I bet most of you do some of this already, but just making sure even when not participating in your events, you kind of doing it outside of competitions and things too, just to maintain wellness outside too. Any questions about the stretching?
No.
Do you have some go-to stretches you like, Jennifer?
Yes, I do.
Some favorite ones?
On Jessica sheet for 10 minutes.
Good for you. You have a sheet that you follow?
Yes.
Nice. Awesome. Well, keep it up. That's great stuff. And so now we're going to move on to strong supporting think that's the next one there. Yes, okay.
Give me 5.
What'd you say, Jennifer?
Give all a smile. High five.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So this one's super awesome. You know, this one's all about kind of supporting each other, and it's so helpful when we're feeling stressed or just, you know, we've got a lot going on, to be able to talk to one another. And especially with competition, if people have teammates or coaches or, you know, family, friends, people that care, it's so important to kind of support each other in a lot of different ways. So that can be through your words, or sometimes a lot of times when I've been at competitions, it can be high fives, right? Or, you know, in the picture there, you can see too, sometimes just putting your arm on somebody too, and just, you know, saying, you know, great job, you know, whatever, is a kind of a nice thing to say to somebody, to just let them know that you care about them, can make all so much difference. And so this one, sometimes thinking about who are some of the people that are supporting you, or showing you kindness, that can be really important to just kind of know who some of those people are. And if it's even if it's one person that you can kind of go to, sometimes a coach, or, you know, maybe it's someone you live with, or someone you see regularly, just knowing some of who the go-to people are that you have, to support you, because that's so important, especially on the good days, but also the days that might be a little bit harder too. And so I would highly encourage, even after, like now, while I'm kind of talking to you all, or even right after our call, just to kind of write down, or kind of know in your head, who can I go to that, you know, makes me feel good or says nice things. And so that's a really important one that we try to help people kind of brainstorm, and also just kind of have that positive reminder in our stations when we go through them at events and stuff, to just kind of bring that to your mind, so that can also just bring gratitude as well, which gratitude is so important for our mental health and our wellness, just to feel gratitude for the people who maybe regularly show us smiles or support us, give us high fives and stuff too. And so anybody have questions about this one at all? I didn't say this yet, but I like how they have the dog on the image too, or like any pets, because sometimes they can be really important as well, if you like animals, or anything else like that too. So, or sometimes plants and stuff too, or just different things that you can kind of show care to, can be a big help too. And so then
Kelly,
we're gonna.
can I add one thing to that one too? I've noticed that not only it's important to know who supports you, but I feel like even if you're having a not so great day, that if you show support to someone else or kindness to others, it just inherently makes you feel better. So sometimes supporting others will help get you maybe out of that funk that you might be in, or whatever is, you know, might be stressing you out. It can help you by helping others.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, Missy, because it's like both ways is so important, to kind of just support each other in those ways. And it can sometimes take the focus off, if you're not having such a good day, just focusing on someone else or something else too, can just make all the difference, to kind of turn the corner, right? So thanks so much. And so now we'll move on to strong planning, and Amy's going to take it away from here.
Yeah, this is our goal setting time.
Okay.
So I know, like in I'm sure in your competitions and in your sports, you think about goals. You want to reach a certain amount, or a certain speed, or something in your competition. You want a certain score. So this is our chance to set a goal for ourselves that we want to strive for. And as I said earlier in some of the other techniques, you know, I spend a lot of my day and my work helping people with these techniques and learning how to manage stress. And I can admit that I don't take my own advice all the time. There's a lot of time I don't remember all these things I teach other people about, you know, how to have strong emotional wellness and all these tools and techniques. So for me, making a goal and sharing that goal with somebody and identifying who can help me is really important for me to remember all of the things that I know are super helpful. And so what I think is a good technique for me is to kind of follow this little plan here where I can pick out a strategy that I like best, and you can pick out a time that it's going to be the most helpful, and a person or people that can help remind you to use that tool. And so I think my example, if I want to think about this for today, I think one of my favorite strategies is strong messaging. It's always been one of my favorites.
My
And
favorite one.
yeah, and I need to think about using my strong messaging when I'm at work, because sometimes I have really busy days, and sometimes the days get so busy that I kind of forget what I'm supposed to be doing, or I might get a little bit overwhelmed with all my tasks, and then I kind of feel like I'm not very good at what I'm doing. And so having that strong message and reminding myself that I'm doing a great job, and I'm really trying, and I'm good at the things I like to do is really important for me. And I think my coworkers are people that can really help remind me of that. They might be able to recognize when I'm having a hard day. They might be able to kind of see that, like, oh, Amy seems a little bit more stressed today. I'm going to remind her to utilize some of those strong messaging tools. So my goal is utilize strong messaging when I'm at work and ask some of my coworkers to help me. Does anyone else want to kind of come up with a goal? I knew, Jennifer, I knew you had one. What have you got?
Stretching.
Strong stretching?
Yes.
Okay. And when would you do that?
When I do my exercises.
Yeah. Okay. So part of your routine is to have stretching. Is there anybody that's going to help you with that can remind you?
Fit 5 on TV.
Okay. So you got even some other tools and techniques there. That's awesome. Does anyone else have a goal they want to think about?
I'll share one that I forget about that I need to write down. I sometimes don't fall asleep very well just because I start thinking of things and I might get a little anxious or stressed. So doing some breathing for 4 to 5 minutes and focusing on my breathing right at bedtime. When I do it, I fall asleep so much better. So that's one thing I need to work on, to do it daily.
That's a great one, Missy. Thank you. How about one more? Does one more person want to share what strategy they want to focus on using?
I see Jake has his hand up.
Yeah, go for it, Jake.
Can you unmute, Jake?
Everything here. Favorite strategy, I would use the stress ball.
Okay. And when would you use that?
After work.
Yeah, that's a great one. Sometimes yeah, you're a little stressed out after work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta kind of work on getting yourself out of working mode and into some relaxation mode, huh?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So who's gonna help you remember that strategy?
I could probably do it by myself.
Okay, that's great. And if you ever have anyone around that you want to share that strategy with, you can definitely do that. But I love that you've got it in your mind and you've created a goal, and it sounds like you're gonna take that goal on.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome.
Just a matter of doing it.
Yeah, I hear you, Jake. It's easy to say these things. It takes a lot more effort to practice them and really think about them when we're having some of those tough moments. I think that, one of the reasons why I really like to have these webinars too is that we get a chance to talk about them when we are doing well. Because I think sometimes when we're having tough times, it's hard to remember how we can help ourselves get out of stress. So practicing and reminding ourselves and really thinking about it when we're having some good times really helps us, be able to pull those strategies really quickly when we're having some of the tough times too. It looks like Shirley and Amber commented, I put post-it notes around with strong messages, especially on my computer. We need to change them up regularly. Absolutely. Having them right in front of you that you can just kind of glance over and remind yourself of that awesome message. And yeah, I love it. You can come up with new ones. You can switch them around. You can think about how you're feeling every once in a while and create a new message. I love that. Awesome. I think Kelly's going to finish us up here with some
Okay.
energy conversation.
Thanks, Amy. And so we've talked about a lot of different things. And so I think I like this slide because it's got pictures of, it kind of looks like batteries on there. The green one being the full battery when maybe we're feeling most energized, kind of charged up. Sometimes that can also be an example of maybe before competition, right? Kind of feeling like energized, excited, whatnot. But then also on the other side there, it kind of shows maybe when our batteries are fully empty, right? And we're feeling kind of drained. And so I think this can be kind of a neat perspective to kind of see those on there, because I think we can all at moments kind of notice how we fluctuate and we change between the different energies there. And so by the different things we've talked about today, I think just coming back to checking in with yourself as time goes on too, like kind of where is my battery, like where am I at with my battery energy or my internal energy? Am I feeling in the yellow? Am I feeling in the red? Or maybe I'm fully green, and that's great too. I think Edward said earlier, some days you're just having a great day where you're just feeling energized, things are going really well. And so sometimes just noticing that too is great. I think with some of the things we just talked about, when we're feeling kind of that lower energy where maybe our battery is empty, that's where we would highly encourage to try some of the different strong mind strategies that we just talked about. So, the stress ball, was it strong messages? Yep. Strong, the deep breathing, the stretching, and then the strong supporting. So, those different strategies can kind of help energize maybe on the days when you're feeling kind of lower energy. And so this says, to care for your loved ones, you have to care for yourself. And so this idea of, us kind of being aware of where is our energy at is so important to then also support other people in your life and kind of being able to almost transfer energy in some ways too. So when we're feeling more energized, then we can kind of, our relationships are impacted by that as well. And so I'm just double checking too, if there's anything else. Does anybody else have thoughts about that? Any questions, or Missy, Amy kind of covered it there? Cool. And so as we're thinking about the different strategies that kind of fuel us or charge our batteries or energy tanks, the next slide will kind of recap some of the various strategies as well. And so on this slide, these are some kind of similar ones, connecting with others, so that, strong supporting can be kind of that one as well. And that one, I think, especially nowadays, like going back to, we're kind of in this space right now where maybe we're in the house a little bit more, or, we're trying to start to get out. Sometimes sending a text or a phone call, some of those things can really make a big difference to not only how you feel, but also how you help make other people feel too. So that's a really big one. And especially when it starts getting colder out too, I think that can be nice to kind of just have those connection points with the telephone. And then the next one there, get 8 hours of sleep. So recharging our batteries, a big piece of that is getting restorative sleep, or just getting, a certain amount of sleep for each of us. This one says 8 hours. Everyone's a little bit different, I think, with how much sleep they may need. Sometimes a little bit more some days, maybe some days a little bit less, but kind of just knowing what works best for you and trying to get as much of that as you can. And this one also says, be aware of caffeine and technology before bed as well. And so the next one there is stay active. So My guess is if you're with Special Olympics, you're already doing some active exercises and things. So keeping that up, trying to do a little bit. I like to kind of call it just moving your body, right? So just movement.
Yes.
For at least they say 30 minutes a day is ideal.
Okay.
And so it sounds like you do that, Jennifer. That's great.
Yes, I'm doing.
You're doing it? Yeah, great. And then the next one there is eating healthy foods. So just kind of paying attention, trying to get as many food groups in there, you know, fruit, vegetables, protein, all grains, kind of getting that colorful plate, and just paying attention to sometimes too, just making sure you're eating each meal too can be a big piece of that too. And so eating healthy foods. And then the next one there is using strong mind strategies. So we just talked about the 5 that, you know, Amy and I kind of went through. Yeah, and so trying deep breathing, stretching, thinking positive thoughts, all those things kind of, it's neat to have all these different tools in the toolbox now to kind of use when maybe you need them. And then the last one is asking for help. And so sometimes asking for help can be hard, but also when we're not sure, it's okay to ask for help. And so we're all humans, and so sometimes we do need a little extra support, and that's okay.
No.
And so with this one, like if you're looking for any more community resources on other options for skills or tools or just even connections in the community, there's an organization called NAMI. It's NAMI, and they are a local community resource provider. And so there's more information about that. And I think I'm trying to remember if we're gonna just looking online, are we gonna, is that information on the slide? I'm trying to remember if the next one, you guys. Let's see. Amy, do you remember just saying that?
Just put it in the
I
chat.
just put it in the chat.
Oh, okay, awesome. So
Yeah.
it'll be in the chat in case anybody wants to look at that. But we've got a full tool.
Yep.
The website. Okay, perfect. So that'll be in there in case anybody wants to look at any further community resources about, you know, asking for help or asking for more support in some ways. And otherwise, those 6 bubbles there give a total toolbox of different things to go back to and kind of reflect on. As Amy just did the strong planning, sometimes just picking one of those and focusing on that, you know, for, you know, some weeks to just see how does focusing on one of those go. It takes some time to get practice to focusing on a new strategy, or maybe one that you haven't done in a while or really thought about. So kind of having some grace with yourself too when you're trying some of these new things, or just kind of getting back in touch with some of these things as well. So any other thoughts about this slide? Then I think we'll move on to the next one there, if that's all right. Awesome. I love that picture. It's so fun, especially because it's winter now, to just see that in the background. And so thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Is there any other questions at the end here? I appreciate everybody's involvement, or just, you know, sharing examples and kind of getting involved in the talk tonight. That makes it so fun.
I just really want to thank you, Kelly and Amy, for sharing and going over all of these Strong Minds tips. In this last slide, I just want to point out to everyone, we are planning on having Strong Minds, the Healthy Athlete Discipline, at the upcoming Region 6 basketball tournament in Verona on February 27th. So if you are competing, please stop by and see us. If you are not competing, you are still welcome to come that day. Maybe you want to come and spectate some basketball games, and then you could come to Strong Minds. What's really fun at a Strong Minds venue is we will give you like a stress ball like this to take home. And some of the tools we taught, you actually get to take something home that helps you maybe remember to do it at home. So we really hope to see you there. Did anybody have any questions or comments before we say goodbye for the night? I see Jake, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, since I'm not competing in basketball, no, I'm a health messenger. Can I help out with the station?
Ooh, yes. Can you contact me on the side, Jake? I think we would love to have your help that day. Okay,
I have to talk to
Awesome.
my mother about it first.
yeah, well, check with your mom on the date, February 27th, and if you can get there, we'd love to have you.
Yeah. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Like,
All right. Well, happy holidays, everyone. Thanks for joining us.